everyone. I'd like to officially welcome you to the Matrix Learning Technology webinar series. My name is Matt McConley. I'm the Digital Product Manager for Matrix Fitness. A few housekeeping notes before we get started. If you have any questions as we go along, please do not hesitate to ask. You can type your questions in the chat box in your GoToWebinar toolbar. They'll be delivered to me throughout the presentation, and then I'm going to address each one of those questions at the very end. Also, we're recording this webinar. A link will be sent out later so you can access any of the information we discussed today at your own convenience. Without further ado, let's get started. The topic of this particular webinar is how to leverage the branding, marketing, and messaging power of asset management. We've got several different goals that we're going to go through. First, what branding, marketing, and messaging features are available with my touchscreen consoles via asset management? What consoles are compatible with these features? How do I configure the consoles to take advantage of these branding, marketing, and messaging capabilities? How do I apply custom branding, marketing, and messaging via asset management? What approaches have been successful when using these capabilities? And then we'll wrap up with the question and answer. All right, let's get started. So let's talk about the features that are available when it comes to the custom branding, the custom marketing, and the custom messaging. The very first item up for bids here would be the custom logo. You can see here on this image that we've got a custom logo, My Gym, that has replaced the standard Matrix logo right there on the header bar of my touchscreen console. That's the custom branding element of this particular product. When it comes to welcome screens, you've got the ability to do up to 10 different welcome screens. We'll talk about those in just a moment, but this is a really powerful tool by which you can present different marketing initiatives to your members with visual content right there on the console. Automated messaging. You can set these up to do, all kinds of different things. This is how it looks when it's presented on the console, and we'll talk through how to set this up in just a few minutes. As far as console compatibility for these features, we're talking about our touchscreen consoles. That would be the 7XI console, the 7XE that you see in the middle there, and the 3XE or 1XE console. Each one of these consoles can handle all of the features we're talking about today. When it comes to leveraging these features, there is something to keep in mind. You need to have your console configured appropriately to take advantage of these capabilities. So the first thing you're going to want to make sure is that you've got the right facility ID entered. This facility ID is important because it chooses for you which branding elements to apply to the consoles rather than maybe some other customers. You also want to make sure that your asset management checkbox is enabled. This will make sure that when it is looking for custom welcome screens, custom brands, custom messaging, that it is going to asset management and looking for these assets. Then you'll want to scroll down and make sure that your Show Custom Logo checkbox and the Custom Welcome Screen checkbox is both enabled. The Show Custom Logo will obviously enable then the custom logo to display, and then obviously the Custom Welcome Screen checkbox will enable those welcome screens to display as well. When it comes to applying a custom logo, the process is rather simple. We're going to start out right here on the facility page. The first thing you'll want to do is click the Tasks tab. By default, the Custom Logo tab is selected. Then you click the Change Image button. You'll choose the image file that you want. In this case, it's a My Gym logo PNG file. And then I can see a preview right here of that logo. Once I'm satisfied with my selection, I simply click the Save button. And now, this is the logo that will be applied, just like you see here on the screen. When it comes to applying custom welcome screens, the process is very similar and just as easy. Again, from the facility page, you'll want to choose the Tasks tab. Then you'll want to click the Custom Welcome Screen tab. Down below, you've got a few different options, but the first thing you want to choose is your screen duration. This setting defines how long each image will display before cycling to the next image in the sequence. You've got a ton of different presets to choose from, but in this particular example, we're going to choose 2 minutes. Now, when I want to add welcome screens, all I do is open up my files and then drag and drop the images into the place that I want them to display, just as you see right here on the screen. Very easy, very simple, very intuitive. We're going to drag and drop a couple more of these welcome screens here. So just a moment. All right. So now you've got all your welcome screens dragged and dropped into asset management. But let's say you wanted to change the order. It's as simple as dragging and dropping it into the place that you want it to display. So here now I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If I wanted to get rid of one, I just hover over the number, click that X, and then it goes away. The result then is what you see here. You've got your custom branding now, you've got a custom welcome screen, and then in 2 minutes, this will cycle to the next image. And again, you can do up to 10 of these. Automated messages are extremely flexible and a great way to sort of bolster the marketing messages that you're already putting out there via the visual pieces for the welcome screens. A lot of times people use these features to work hand in hand with one another to strengthen the marketing message or initiative that they're trying to convey. We'll talk about some of those tips and tricks and best practices in just a moment, but how do you actually configure automated messages? Again, we're on the Tasks tab. This time we're going to click the Messages tab. Now, the first thing I want to point out before we add a new message is that I can define specific groups of equipment that these messages will display on. This really allows me then the flexibility to blast out messages that are only relevant on certain pieces of equipment, or maybe if you create an equipment group that sort of bundles up pieces of equipment in certain specific physical areas of your facility, you can really tailor the messaging toward that specific area. In this example, though, we're doing a facility-wide message, and here I've got 3 options. I can display the message after the start of a workout, I can do it before the end of a workout, or at a specific date and time. In about the next month, we're also adding the ability to display the message at the end of the workout on the results screen as well. In this particular example, we're going to do after the start of a workout. First, I enter a title. The title is nothing, it's never displayed to the end user. This is for you in asset management to manage all of the messages. Then I enter the text of the message, and in this case, we're talking about promoting the Sprint 8 HIIT workout. Now I'm going to define how long after the workout that this message should appear. So I've got it set now to, after 5 seconds, display this automated message. The length of time to display basically says, after X number of seconds, just automatically dismiss this message on the console without exerciser, actively dismissing it. Then I define the date and the time that this particular message should expire when it's no longer valid. Once I'm good with all these settings, I click the Submit button, and that's really it. Now I can see the message that I had here, and if I wanted to edit it, I would click the Edit button. If I wanted to delete it, I would click the Delete button. It's really that simple. So now on to some tips and tricks on how to best leverage these capabilities right there within your facility. We're going to start out with some recommendations on the custom logo side of things. First things first, the resolution that you're looking for with your custom logo files is going to be 340 by 60 pixels. This is really important because if you upload files that are larger or smaller, they may not look proper once applied to the console, or they may not actually be able to be applied at all. So it's really important to make sure that you're within the guidelines of 340 by 60 pixels. We also recommend using transparent layers where possible for a more aesthetically pleasing look on the console. So here as an example, I've got this My Gym logo, and you can see there's a lot of transparent things going on, and there's white, text going on. So on a white background, I can't really see it. That said, when apply it to the console's header bar is actually a black with sort of a semi-transparent setting on it. So once I apply a logo like this, it's going to look really great, you know, up against that black background. Next, you're going to want to minimize the use of logos with really small text due to the 340 by 60 pixel resolution that it uses on the console. So here's just one example of a logo that has quite a bit of text. However, when I shrink this down to 60 pixels high, or 60 pixels vertically, you can see now that the lettering becomes very difficult to make out. It's very difficult to read. And so we recommend that where possible, if you can, try and avoid logos or branding that includes a ton of tiny little lettering. And then last, this might sound sort of obvious, but this is really a great opportunity to align the branding with your marketing materials elsewhere. So the logo and the brand sort of presence that you've got on the web, the brand presence you've got on your social media accounts, in print, whatever other media you're marketing with, there's a great opportunity to align the branding of these consoles right there within your facility with all of the other brand identity that you've got going on elsewhere. When it comes to custom welcome screens, there's also some tips and tricks, and we'll start out with the basics, right? The resolution for these is going to be 1,366 by 768 pixels. You can apply up to 10 unique images that promote different aspects of your business. So, for example, here on the screen, I've got, you know, summer day camp and swim school, but you might also have programs for seniors, maybe programs, you know, within the school district that you're located. There's all kinds of different things that, you know, your unique individual business is promoting. And so this is a great opportunity to present all of those different initiatives and all of those different messages, rather than sort of being pigeonholed into just choosing one. You'll also want to align the image assets with the other marketing materials that you've got. And this is actually really nice because you're not going to have to expend a lot of extra work on the creative side to create all new image assets for your consoles. You can leverage, like you see here, the image that was used on a website, and then just use that source image as the basis for your welcome screen. Not only is it easier on your creative staff, it saves time and labor dollars, but on top of it, now you're pulling the rope in the exact same direction as all of the other places that you're marketing these particular initiatives and messages. And the last thing here that we recommend, and what we've seen a lot of customers have success with, is leveraging QR codes right there on those welcome screen images for quick access to the initiative that screen is presenting, right? It's one thing to just present an image that talks about summer camp or swimming lessons or whatever at the point that your member walks up to the piece of equipment and sees it. However, if you put a QR code there, you don't have to rely on them trying to remember once they get home to sign little Timmy up for swimming lessons or summer camp. They can just pull out their smartphone, scan that code, and they're right into the sign up or, you know, registration form on the web. So it's a really great way to try and increase your uptake of people getting involved with these messages and the sorts of things that they are promoting. As far as automated messaging, you have the ability to communicate your message with up to 1,000 characters. That's more than enough to communicate it in full plain English or whatever language it is that you're presenting it in. You don't have to use shorthand, and you also don't have to sort of give short shrift to the actual message itself. You can present what you need to because you've got enough characters to do so. You'll also want to align your messaging with your welcome screen visuals for maximum impact where possible. So if you see in this example, not only do I have this summer camp promo with the QR code for really quick access to the registration form on the web, but then once the exerciser begins the workout, I can also blast out an automated reminder that the deadline for early bird summer day camp registration is February 15th. and then provide them a call to action, which jumps into my next point. This is a really great way to leverage a call for action on these messages. And right here you see my call to action in this example was, be sure to register today to guarantee your child's place in camp this summer. So really the point is you can align your messaging with your welcome screens and calls to action to really achieve the maximum effectiveness of these particular marketing approaches. So with all of that there, I'm going to open this up entirely to questions. You know, every single customer is very different, and the way they leverage these features, the types of things they want to do are going to be very different. So now I'd like to open it up to you guys to ask me, you know, whatever's been on your mind, whatever is pressing, whatever struggles or questions you might have had in trying to leverage these features right there within your facility. We'll give it a couple more minutes. Again, if you want to type your question into the chat window, I'm monitoring that, and we'll definitely answer those specific questions that you have for your facility. So one question that came in was surrounding different brands of equipment and their compatibility with asset management. I can answer that in sort of a couple of different ways. As it pertains to connecting different brands to our product, asset management is built on basically application programming interfaces. You might have heard the term API. And what that means is that we are able to expose our system to third parties, whether it's different manufacturers or whatever. That said, just because we have exposed these endpoints to make this possible, we've yet to have any other manufacturers decide to, connect their equipment to our system. If there are customers of yours, or if you are, thinking maybe I want to, track my data or whatever across all these different platforms, there are products out there that, you can plug into a C-Safe port and, report on all these different brands, of course. But that is sort of the lay of the land here when it comes to asset management. If another manufacturer, another brand were to want to connect to our system, we can make that possible. We just have not had any manufacturers want to do that yet. Do we have any other questions, Meredith?
Yes, we do. Is there a PDF guide for these functions?
Sure. So the next question that just came in was, is there a PDF or some sort of written document that outlines all of the stuff we talked about today and more? Right now, I don't believe we do a PDF written document. That said, on matrixlearningcenter.com, all one word, we have a huge library of how-to videos voiced by yours truly. So if you're sick of my voice, maybe you don't want to use the how-to videos. I'm just kidding. They're really great. They're going to walk you through in very, very minute detail how to do every single thing you've ever wanted to know in asset management. So if maybe I went a little bit too fast on how to configure your consoles during this particular presentation, you can get into the how-to videos and watch that over and over. Again, it's at matrixlearningcenter.com. In the product filter, you'll want to choose asset management. And then in the video type or the education type, you're going to want to find instructional videos. And that will house all of the different how-to videos. I think there's like 15 of them right there for you. And we've just posted the link right here in the chat window. So if you want to open up your chat window and click that link, that'll take you directly to where you need to go. And again, all of these, things that I talked about, from configuring your console appropriately to how to actually configure these in asset management, they're all talked about ad nauseum right there in those how-to videos. Did we have any other questions coming through? All right. I suppose we'll give it maybe one more minute in case somebody wants to get a last-minute question in. Otherwise, we're going to go ahead and end the presentation. And then afterward, as I mentioned at the outset, we will go ahead and send out a link to the recording of this webinar so you can refer back to it in the future. All right. So it looks like everybody got their questions answered. If for whatever reason, after we end this presentation, you have a question that comes to mind that you wish you would have asked, feel free to reach out to me. I'm more than willing to answer questions. I can be reached at matt.mcconley, that's matt.mcconley@johnsonfit.com. We'll post that right here in the chat bar for you for easy access. And again, feel free to reach out. Don't be shy. If that question comes to mind after we finish up, feel free to just shoot me an email with that question. I'll be more than happy to answer it. With that said, I hope you guys all got a little bit out of this particular session, got some ideas and some tips and tricks on how to leverage these capabilities more effectively. And I really appreciate you guys joining us for this session. Have a wonderful day wherever you might be, and take care.